Okay, so we're going to record. So we're talking about Emerald tonight, and I thought that it would be a good topic because there are a bunch of people kind of pushing for goals this month and next month, and I wanted to just kind of see where everybody was with that and see if we can help um, make it a little easier than it might sound in the beginning. But you know what? There's a ton of feedback. Oh wait, there we go. It's you, Jen. No, I'm just kidding. um, Okay, so anyway, so I guess I just want to start by reviewing what Emerald actually means. So in this business, there are two ways to make money, right? So there's one is off of commissions, which is just straight sales, meaning if you sell a challenge pack, if you sell a Shakeology, if you sell anything, you get usually 25% commission. Sometimes it's a little bit more depending on what you're selling. But the second way, and of course the way that coaches have long-term income and what some people call residual income, meaning you don't have to work for it, is by building a team under you, which is we're all part of this team together here. And of course, each of us in this business have two legs. And that basically means that everybody, because well, most of us on the team, sorry, Jen, have an upline of people who are building, sharing one strong leg, and are helping to build that together. And then everybody on the team has one weak leg, meaning that that's something that you have to build yourself. And some people get unfortunate positions where they are building both legs themselves, but most people have a shared strong leg and a weak leg. So at any rate, in the very beginning, the biggest goal is to get to Emerald, meaning that you put one coach, personally sponsored coach on one leg and one personally sponsored coach on the other. And it opens a lot of doors just by getting to that very first rank advancement. It's kind of like getting a promotion in this business because it means that you're going to start earning some bonuses. So when you have one coach on each leg, then you become Emerald. And as long as they're active coaches, then you can start earning cycle bonuses and you can start earning leads from the company. So cycle bonuses are when your strong leg, so whatever leg you're sharing with your upline is your strong leg, at least in the beginning. And whenever that hits 200 volume and your weak leg hits 100 volume, so it's a 2-to-1 ratio, then you cycle bonus that Emerald for $14. Now, it doesn't seem like a lot, but it ends up being a lot. I can tell you for me, it's way over half my salary, my cycle bonuses right now. So anyway, so 2-to-1 ratio, and so you get this $14, and you can cycle bonus multiple times, many times, depending on that ratio. So if you have, 2,000 to 1,000, then you cycle bonus 10 times, that's $140. And so on. So whatever ratio that is, then you cycle bonus. And of course, we get paid every Thursday in this business. So you can cycle bonus multiple times each week and then start again. And then the next week cycle bonus. So even though if you're not at Emerald right now, you're building volume on your strong leg, because anybody that places a coach on that leg, it starts building volume under you. So everybody in here is probably earning some amount of volume on a strong leg, and then everybody in here needs to place those two coaches on your legs to start earning that cycle bonus. And then, of course, the second big thing about becoming Emerald is that you get to start getting leads from the company. So in other words, when Beachbody when somebody sees an infomercial, for example, and they buy T25, or they might buy Shakeology or something like that, then they get assigned a coach randomly. And if you qualify, meaning that you're Emerald, and now they upped it, so you have to qualify with SC5, then you can start earning those. They can start assigning those customers to you, and you don't have to do anything for those, and that can be free money in your pocket. So sometimes that might be that they ordered a product, and if you get there's different types of leads. So one is called a Success Club lead, meaning you got Success Club. Then you can actually get the commission from those sales for having done nothing with that person. Or you might get a lead that is just signed up for a free club membership, or a free membership, or the trial club membership, or whatever. And then you don't get the commission off of that, but anything they order in the future, you get the commission off of. So when you get that lead, you can reach out to them and, start to engage with them and whatever. And maybe help them pick a program or help them pick their Shakeology flavor or whatever. And some people have had success eventually signing leads up for coaching or putting them in challenge groups or having them be long-term customers. And some people sign up for Shakeology HD, so you might get $30 every month just for being Emerald and having hit Success Club. So there's lots of great perks to being Emerald, and it's really the first step towards this residual income, which is kind of, I think, what we all would enjoy. So do you guys have questions about how that works? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, do I need to put the people on the legs? I was looking back through my notes.
Yes.
And I wasn't really sure.
So yes, that's a great question. So there's something called preferred placement in your back office. And that is where you determine which leg you want your person to go on. So in the very beginning, you only need to worry about putting one on one side and one on the other side. So in general, I feel like it puts them all to the left first, but I could be wrong about that. So we can double check and see where your person is. And then we'll want to go in and make sure when you're ready to sign your next coach, we want to make sure that they go on whatever the other side is. So we'll put them on the other side. And then as you sign more coaches, the next step is, well, Ruby's the next step, but lots of people skip right past that. So Ruby is when you have a coach on each side and then an Emerald on each side. Yeah, that's a good idea, Jen. I'll screen share how to do placement in a second here. So you have a coach on each side and then you have an Emerald on each side. That's Ruby. And a lot of people skip past that because a lot of people build their coaches first. So there's, I'm gonna draw it for you. So to get to Diamond, there's, you need 8 coaches, 4 on each side, and an Emerald on each side. I'm gonna draw it real quick. This is what Diamond looks like.
Very nice.
Thank you. So when you start doing, so when you went from Emerald, which was just one coach on each side, these guys are Emerald right here. Then it doesn't really matter. Put one on one on the other. Unless you're signing up a spouse, then you might want to think about that a little bit more. But even in the beginning, it's really hard. But once you get your 2, when you start placing these other coaches, then it's kind of important to be thinking about which ones go where. So generally speaking, if you have a business builder, so somebody who you think is going to run the business, who doesn't just want the discount, you want to put those people on your weak side because they'll help you cycle bonus more. So if you're building on your strong side, kind of the stockpile of volume, right, because everybody's putting coaches on that side, then on your weak side, if you put business builders, then you're going to make that ratio closer to 2 to 1. So often in the beginning, the ratio is much different than that. It might be like 5 to 1 or 10 to 1 or something like that, because depending on how strong your strong leg is. So if you want to put, but then in the beginning, you don't know for sure who's going to be business builders. Sometimes discount coaches turn into great business builders, and sometimes people you think are going to run with the business don't. And so it's a little bit, at every level, it's a little bit tricky to know where to place people. But so generally, we just kind of go back and forth until you get to Diamond, and then we start talking more. So to get to Diamond, you need an Emerald on each side. So that means your coach, your personally sponsored coach, then has their 2 coaches. So a coach on their left and a coach on their right. So you need 1 on each side. So in general, you in the beginning, it's good to place business builders on both sides because you want to have Emeralds on both sides, if that makes sense, hopefully. Do you want me to share the preferred placement thing real quick? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Can you do that? There we go. It's so pretty. So coach, and then active coach, meaning you have 50 PV going through your going through your account. So PV, of course, is volume, which means either your own purchase or a customer's purchase. And then PV is roughly equivalent to the dollar amount of a product. It's not quite the same, but roughly. And then Emerald Coach, meaning that you have 2 active coaches. So they're either ordering Shakeology regularly or something that is the equivalent of 50 PV. So Shakeology is actually 90 PV. So when people are coaches for the discount and they just are getting recurring Shakeology, then you're fine with them being active coaches. And then Ruby here is one that most people skip right by because most people build with discount coaches first, meaning that they'll get all these blue ones. So sometimes there are some coaches right now that are very close to Diamond on our team, and they have their active coaches in place, but they don't have their Emeralds yet. Meaning that they don't have a coach who's actively got 2 coaches underneath them. But some people do get to Ruby, which means that they have a coach on each side who's building the business, and they have 2 coaches under them, and then 2 other active coaches, and then Diamond. So does that make sense? Cool. So it's good to talk for a second here also about spouses. And some of you have heard this before, but I think it's always helpful to hear it again. So it can be really, really helpful and a good business move to consider signing up a spouse or a close personal family member that you know and trust and whatever. A lot of us, I think the majority of us, have our spouses as part of our downlines because it makes good business sense to do that. For one, it can help you rank advance to Emerald, so you can start earning those leads. Another reason to do it that's pretty cool is that you get kind of the double bonus of signing a spouse. So if they order something, they get the discount, and you get the volume from their thing. So you kind of get to double dip a little bit, and then and of course all those benefits of being Emerald. So you get the leads, and you get cycle bonuses, and all that kind of stuff. And then there are other reasons when you advance in the business that it could make sense, because you can actually build your spouse's account, so build your husband's account. So there are coaches on our team who have built their husbands to Emerald, meaning that they have put coaches under them when they were getting close to Diamond and they needed an Emerald on the other side. So they would give their husbands 2 coaches to make them Emerald. And Terry actually has her husband nearly built to Diamond. I mean, he sort of dabbles in the business a bit because he's run a group or 2. He's kind of interested, but he doesn't do it full time. So she's actually built him nearly there. I think she's only like a coach or 2 shy of building him all the way to Diamond. So that's really important because if you can, that's how the stars happen. So when mine is 3-star Diamond, which means I have 3 diamonds on my team. And when you get to 2-star Diamond, this is too much information, but just to plant a little seed, when you get to 2-star Diamond, you get to open a second business center, which is basically you get to open up you under yourself. You get to sign on as a coach again, and then you get to double dip again, because then you can put yourself on your weak leg, get the commission, and then get the volume, and then it rolls up to your other account. So it's kind of cool. But you can use your husband as a second business center essentially in the beginning and do the same thing, get the commission and then get the volume. So it's kind of cool business wise to do that. And then so you've got control over an account, and you can there's one more reason, and it's a little complicated. I don't want to get too far into, but when you're pushing for other things in the business, if you have control over another account, it can be really helpful. So I'm Premier, which means I got a certain number of points. When you get to Diamond, there's this whole other system of points that happens. It's probably way too much information. But anyway, having control over my husband's account was helpful to me because I could put some customers there and get him these points, and then it ultimately helped me. So it's just kind of nice. Some other people have built a family member on both sides. So Shannon, for example, in the beginning when she got to Diamond, she didn't have any working coaches under her. So she actually built her husband to Emerald, and she built a sister-in-law to Emerald. So she actually had a coach on both sides that she could control, which was really helpful because sometimes your active coaches just aren't or your coaches on your downline may not be active, so you can actually control it a little bit more if you. So there's really good reasons to consider that as a business opportunity. Did that make sense? It's a lot of information.
Yeah, just to second kind of what you said. Like, I have my husband underneath me, but I also have my mom underneath one of my other coaches. So if I lose one of my emeralds, I can always go back in, reactivate her, and then that coach can go back to emerald pretty much at any time I need them to. So it is really helpful to have more than one family member or somebody close that you can kind of control their account.
I think Alyssa had her grandma signed up in the beginning. I mean, it's really, I had my mother-in-law was one of my first coaches. She was my third. Actually, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Maybe those of us that have hit emerald and above, I was going to suggest maybe we could talk about our beginnings, because I actually just found a paper from my beginning that I had drawn, like my thing. And my first coaches there was somebody at my work at the time who was like heard about what I was doing and was all in. And I was like, what? It was so easy that I was like, this is going to be a piece of cake. Anyway, so she was on one side, and then I put my husband on the other to get to emerald. And then my third coach was my mother-in-law, who I just talked into helping me out with this and whatever. And that was my beginning. Eventually that person from my work dropped and didn't, like, she was in it for about a month or something, dropped. So I had at that point signed like another person, but it was like my cousin, and then I can't remember. And then not too long after, Nadine and Terry and those guys signed on. But in the beginning, it's so funny to look back. Who got you to emerald, Jen?
Oh wow, it was my husband and Stephanie. Stephanie's not even a coach anymore. Like, she quit. No, I'm sorry. Stephanie was under Paula. Chrissy was mine. She was a coach for like 2 months and then quit.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you were saying like about Alyssa, at the beginning it was Alyssa's coaches were me, Scott, and her grandma. That was it.
Yeah. That's so funny. I can't imagine my grandma. I don't even know if my grandma has a credit card. Terry, who was your emerald? Who were your emerald coaches when you got to emerald? I mean,
my husband and my mom. So, my mom, I just signed her up before. Well, she was interested in Shakeology, so that was a good, deal in that way. And she is still on Shakeology and loves it. So this has been, gosh, over a year and a half. And then, yeah, I just kind of signed Dan up right away because he was going to do Shakeology and he was doing the challenge group with me. And so we kind of shared our first bag of Shakeology together until we knew and realized that we wanted to go all in, and then signed him up, and yeah, the rest is history.
I know, it's so funny because I think people think, I don't know if you guys want to speak to that, Deb and Julie, but I think people think it's really like some kind of, like, people find business builders right in the beginning and all that. And I don't know that that was true. I mean, that maybe somebody gets lucky like that, but I think most of us start out just signing up family members and then kind of building from there. I guess occasionally there's some big turnouts, but.
Yeah, I think as of yesterday, maybe, Jeannie had made, it's really not that difficult. Jeannie made her brother emerald and her sister-in-law emerald in like 2 days. So, it's crazy how, that can happen and you can do that. And, I think she had some people waiting in the wings to get on to get the Shakeology discount, and boom. So
Aw. I'll just mute her.
But I do remember, like, in the beginning thinking, oh my gosh, getting to Emerald is like the hardest thing ever. Like, how do I ever get there? You know, it does seem like it's the hardest thing when you're trying to do it. But once you get to like the higher ranks, you think, gosh, why did I think that was so hard? I thought it was awful.
Well,
well, I
because
think some of it has to do with the fact that people sometimes think a little bit too much or too hard about the like discount preferred customer. I don't know if you want to call it an opportunity or how to present it or how to invite people to do that. And sometimes I think that part scares people a little bit if they're not used to inviting or feeling comfortable with that process. But I think we've all done a good job explaining how to do that right and honestly, and showing them all the benefits of why it would help them and save them a lot of money.
Yeah. Were you going
We
to?
already talked about that. I got on light, so I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's okay. Were you going to ask something, Deb?
I was just gonna say, anytime you're trying something new like that, it's daunting,
For sure.
I'm just not getting discouraged. I just continue to build relationships, and so people feel more comfortable with me and will believe me.
Yeah, it's true. And I really want you to, I wonder if I could, maybe after we're done, I really would love for you to watch that one video. I was trying to show you that one webinar about
Oh, sure.
I wonder if I could play it for you and you could just watch it. I don't know if you have
Or just
time.
even hear it, sure.
Yeah, I wonder how I could do that so you could see it. Because she had such great points about how to, that, I don't know why I can't remember. Is it Amway or Amco? Amway? Amway. How that like really set a bad taste in people's mouths and how to overcome that and how to move forward. And this is Shay Stanford's mom who did this webinar, and Shay Stanford's like high up in the company now. And anyway, it was really good. So hopefully I'll be able to get that to you.
That'd be great.
Because it might just be help in the language of it. Maybe there's some simple semantics that would be helpful. Okay, so I muted you, Julie. I don't know if you had a question. No, okay. Okay, so what else? So tell us a little bit more. Is there anything about Emerald that would be helpful to hear, or that you think other coaches might need to hear, or that might, maybe there's something confusing that we are forgetting because we're not trying to get to Emerald? Can you post that link? Yes. You mean for the webinar from, yes. Is there anything that you guys are thinking that might be helpful to hear about getting to Emerald? No. So the other thing I guess I just wanted to say too, that Terry was talking about, that I don't know if I hit on as much as I could in the beginning, is this idea that we can sign up people who are not business builders and who may never be business builders. And that's what helps grow your team in the beginning. And we call them sometimes preferred customers. Sometimes people call them silent coaches or discount coaches. And it's, again, just people who want the discount on Shakeology. And in the beginning, I don't know, I didn't quite understand that. I didn't know how to talk about that or whatever. There are a bunch of scripts posted in Inspiration Nation, but we can point those out again if that would be helpful. But the idea is basically that they have no intention of ever running a business, but they just want a discount on their Shakeology, or they like the programs and they just want a discount on those, because of course it's 25% off as a coach. But Beachbody doesn't distinguish between active coaches and discount coaches or preferred customers or silent coaches or whatever. So everybody has to pay that $15.95 fee each month, whether they're actively running the business or not. So that's the one little drawback, but it's still a deal on Shakeology. If you think about it financially, it's still saving them I think it's $16 or $17 a month. So if they're on regularly on Shakeology. Now, the one thing to remember about that, which I did not understand in the beginning, is that when you sign on coaches, you no longer get commission off of those sales. You're set up to get the volume and the cycle bonuses, but in doing that, you're sacrificing commission for volume. So, so when you sign on somebody as a discount coach, you won't get the $30 or whatever it is, $33 a month that you would in commission from Shakeology, but you will start getting the volume. So in the beginning, it's a little bit less money until you start building your volume up, and then it ends up being lots more money. Do you guys understand, for those of you that are newer, do you understand how we share legs? Do you get that concept and how you build volume? So when we have a shared leg, anybody who's on that leg, when they place a new coach, it goes to the bottom of the shared leg. So the volume from that new coach goes up the chain. So everybody gets the volume above that. So for example, I'm at the top here, and then Julie's here. If I sign a coach, it goes below Julie, and then Julie gets the volume from that, even though that's not her personally sponsored coach. And if Julie signs a coach, it goes to the bottom of that. So that coach between us gets the volume. Julie gets the volume, I get the volume, and then people above me get the volume, and so on. So that's how it just keeps, that's why we're a team, right? Because we're sharing these legs and we're sharing each other's volume. So that's why it really is truly a team. It's not just like we're helping each other out. We're like truly helping each other out by sharing these legs and putting coaches under each other to share this volume. I didn't get that for a long time for some reason. It's funny too in this business how you don't know what you don't know until somebody says it, and then you're like, oh shoot, I thought I had this down. Okay, so go ahead. Is somebody trying to say something?
No, I was just gonna say, you said like that was something that you didn't know right off the bat, and I didn't either. And recently I discovered there's a way to, in your back office, to actually view all of the coaches that are under you. I mean, they're not necessarily your coaches, but if you hit, I forget what it is, if it's in volume, might be in volume. And it will list every coach that's under you. So I can see, Kathleen's coaches, new coaches that she's put on, and the people that are on my upline leg. And it's just amazing how many more are added even daily that you're not aware of, that you are reaping the benefits of from their volume. So becoming Emerald and actually being able to use that volume and cycle bonus is a big deal. It really gives you commission. You get cycle bonuses, which are awesome. So
Yeah, you can also see them in the graphical genealogy. You can see your
Right,
upline
yeah.
coaches on the graphical genealogy.
Those little gray Gary
Yeah, which I never even knew, because I don't have weak leg, strong leg. I don't have anybody from my upline underneath me.
Right.
So that whole weak leg, strong leg, to me, I was like, I don't get it. But that was why. And then when one of my coaches was like, well, who is so-and-so? I was like, that's my coach. How could you see that? So I didn't realize that because I don't have anybody from my upline under me.
Yeah, Jen unfortunately got in a position where she's on an inside leg and she doesn't have any help building her legs, which is so unfortunate. But it happens. And on you go, right? So anyway, so that's pretty much it for Emerald. I don't know if you guys think of any other questions. I'm going to make a note to, I'll write out how to do preferred placement. And also maybe we can figure out how everybody can see the coaches below them. I can do that afterwards.
Well, I was going to say, I can show you my graphical genealogy since mine's smaller.
Okay.
And then you can also see how to do your placement.
Okay, perfect.
Let me get it up here first. All right. Okay. So, like, here is the graphical genealogy of all the people underneath me. So I don't have anybody that's from my upline underneath me. Anybody underneath me is all people that I've placed or whatever. So you can see, here, wait a minute, let me move you guys. Okay. So like my right leg tends to be my stronger of the two legs. So like she was saying, so, you know, Michelle is Emerald. So Teresa is her personally sponsored coach. And this one, who is that? So Carla is my personally sponsored coach, but she's underneath Michelle. So she will, anything that, any of Carla's volume cycles up to Michelle, which then cycles up to me. So that's what she was talking about, how each person below you benefits from the volume on the way up. So you can see like how, you know, all these people down below each level up, like Rich will cycle off of these, well, when he gets back to Emerald tomorrow. Michelle cycles off of all these people down below her. And then on this screen too, you can also do your placement. You want to check it, change it from automatic to set preferred, and then you can switch it here to left and right. I don't ever recommend doing any inside legs, so I just go back and forth left and right between the two. Because if you do automatic, it will, I have to remember to change that. No, that's not what I wanted. Let's save that. So it will automatically pick it. So see where it says weak outside leg. So that's where it will put it. It will automatically put it wherever the computer thinks it needs to go. So I always change it to set preferred, and then I switched them to back and forth between left and right. And then you can also, isn't there another way that you can go in and change? Yeah, go under my business and then my preferred placement is the other way to do it. And then it's the same thing as it is on that same page as the graphical genealogy. Mm-hmm. And then just always make sure to save it. So there's that.
Yeah, so you were asking Beth about inside legs, right? So basically it only makes sense to do that when you're far along and when you're trying to help probably your spouse. So for example, at least this is my understanding, and I feel like I'm not in any place where I would want to do this. But so for example, I have my husband on my strong leg. That was just the way it was in the beginning because the first coach I signed I thought was going to be a business builder, so I put her on my weak leg and my husband on my strong leg. My strong leg is really strong because there are business builders on that side from above me and below me. Anyway, so it's really strong. So I have not built my husband at all. That's just my own strategy. If he was on my weak leg, I would be building him, but he's not. He's on my strong leg. So maybe one day it will make sense to build him. Anyway, so far and wide basically is I place everybody either, like Jen was saying, on the right or the left. Now, at Melanie's stage of the game, her weak and strong legs are basically balanced. So she doesn't need to build a weak leg anymore. So when she started building her husband, who's also on her strong leg, I believe, she started placing her personally sponsored coaches on her strong side, but under his weak leg. So that's the inside leg, right? So then he would start cycle bonusing more, his business account would, because her personally sponsored were going under his weak leg. They were still considered on her strong side, but he was the only one getting volume, and then they would get volume off each other. So it's not a strategy that makes any sense for any of us at this point, because you just want to do far and wide for for yourself and for your team and for any coaches you're placing, until you get to a point where you're multi-starred, and then you can go back and try and play with that kind of stuff. It could be an advantage if anybody's actively working with family members, like if you have your spouse and maybe you have an aunt or an uncle or something like that. But how will we know if they go to the outside when you choose right or left? That's what it's supposed to do, but they always say to double check because they have flukes. So it should go to your outside right or left, but it's always good to double check, because there have been accidents.
Yeah, and you can see when you do the graphical genealogy, it'll light up. I think it's red, a dotted red line that'll say your next coach is going here.
So I just have one question. So a discount coach up here, and there's a discount coach here. The top discount coach still gets volume from the one underneath.
Yep.
Okay. That's
I was going to say, I just looked this up really quick. When you're in your back office, if you go to my business and then you go to my volume and click on my volume, it's going to show you like your left leg volume. It'll say LV, and then it'll say RV for right leg. If you click on either one of those, okay, the number that's there, the blue number, it will pull up all the coaches that are on your right leg, kind of under you, giving you volume, okay, if there are any at all. So you can look at both legs of yours and see how many people. It actually gives you the volume for that week. So it's pretty cool to see, and you can kind of, figure out, if you're not Emerald, and this is something that I was helping some people with, if you're not Emerald, and you're getting like enough volume to match to cycle bonus, you can actually see how much you would make if you were Emerald by just kind of comparing your two legs and the number that's there. So. That's all.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yep, there are some people on my strong side that signed up early with me who have a huge volume that they're just sitting on. And some people, not that I know personally, but some people actually buy into those positions. So some person that's in my outer network of people bought into a position above Melanie so that she could get all the volume already there on one leg. So then essentially she's just building her weak leg because she's got this huge volume that was just sitting there. Nobody was touching it. So it's an interesting thought. All right. Any other questions that you guys have about Emerald or volume? I know, and I just wanted to say that I had to hear this stuff multiple times, and I still hear it, and I'm like, okay. I'm still like, it's a different language, and it's not something that any of us learned in school, I don't think, or, we're taught in our budgeting, whatever classes. But anyway, so if whatever questions you have, and just hearing about it multiple times, at least for me, has helped me to understand it better. So I just want to say that too.
Yeah, and another thing about volume too is if you drop rank, your volume starts over at 0 again.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, somebody dropped to Emerald on Thursday.
And
I have 0 volume now.
Oh no, that stinks.
Yes, it does, because I had a lot.
I didn't know that. Are you sure that really? I mean, I
Oh,
guess
yeah.
you know, but yeah, that stinks.
Because I'd heard, once I saw the numbers and stuff, I was like, oh yeah. I remember Katie Ersta talking about that one time.
Mm.
She dropped like, I don't know, like she said it was like some kind of weird fluky thing where she like went from like 3-star to almost to emerald or something and lost all her volume.
Oh man,
So
that's awful.
yep. So if you drop from like ruby or diamond back down to emerald, your volume all resets to 0.
Ugh, that stinks. Okay, well, let's wrap up for tonight then. So I just wanted to say really quickly about what's coming up this month. So there's a couple of groups starting on Monday, which I just posted about on the 18th. I'm thinking of doing another sneak peek on the week of the 25th. We just heard on another call last night that Diamond Push called like another way to kind of tweak the sneak peek. So if I have time, I may try and do a little tweaking to the one that we have. But if not, we have a template already. So that's my plan. And then start the next Coach Basics on the 1st. We threw in an extra Coach Basics this month because a number of people are trying to push to Diamond, and I wanted to make sure that those people that were recruiting had a place to go. So that's kind of what's coming up for this month. And then we'll talk June in the next week or two as well, so we can get a plan in place if anybody's looking for a plan, or maybe you've got your own things going on. But generally speaking, I think a lot of people do free group the 1st or 2nd week, and then challenge group starts the 3rd week, and then sneak peek, and then Coach Basics is kind of the pattern we're getting into, which is nice to have some predictability to that stuff. So anyway, that's kind of the plan. Do you guys have any questions or anything you want to talk about for that? No. Okay, well, cool. Thanks for getting on, everybody. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
And I'm going to actually, Deb, if you want to hang on for a minute, or anybody that wants to see that video, I might try and show that, at least try and start up that webinar for that Shay Stanford's mom did. So if you don't want to listen to it, actually, I'm going to stop recording too.